Well, hi everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we are live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And a very warm welcome to you all. I'm not in my usual position because for some reason my other computer didn't want to load when I needed it to, so I decided I'd just come here and talk to you from here. However, that means that I've got to rearrange everything in my life here so that I can do the broadcast. Today, we're going to be talking about some of the love that I felt um, during the past week. For those of you who don't know, I turned 75 this week. And, well, in fact, a week ago on Tuesday. Oh, no, not a week ago, just Tuesday first. What am I talking about? Anyway, so what I wanted to talk to you about is, it's amazing how just having a birthday like that brings out uh, great love from a lot of people. So I thought I'd share some of that with you because I think, like anybody, right, we all feel better when we hear good news. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about. Just want to let you know that as far as I'm aware, Jody won't be with us for this broadcast because she's out partying with Lionel today. So we are very happy to hear her doing that. Our quotes today will be about acts of love, and I hope you enjoy them. The first one I have is: no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. And so I wonder how many of you have done an act of kindness this week for anybody. And what is an act of kindness? It's sometimes just one that nobody knows about. So I'm pretty certain with my viewers that all of you have things to talk about that you have done. So please feel free either to talk about it in the chat or else um, leave comments about it. And, I always say to people that acts of kindness are not really as noble as people think. I always feel good when I do an act of kindness, so it's a very selfish act in my view. Does that make sense? Right? Because I feel good when I do them. That means that it's not a noble thing. So here we go. Who are we? For those of you who don't know, we're a group of people who get together 3 times a week, and we talk about coping with feelings at lunchtime on a Friday, this one. And then we talk about coping with life in Friday evening, Pacific time. 7 o'clock tonight, I'll be deep diving my kitchen deep freeze. I have no idea what's in there, but I thought some of you would relate to that. And I thought if I could do it in a way that was fun, maybe, I'd inspire other people to do it as well. And then on Sunday, we talk about coping with stress, and I want to give you a health update on that day. So, um, my favorite monk said that we should smile, breathe, and go slowly. And I have to admit that I have been doing a lot of that this week. And I would urge you all, whatever is, in your life at the moment, remember to smile, breathe, and then go slowly. All right. We're inclined to sort of automatically react to things. And there's no doubt about it that not reacting in the moment is a really good thing for you to think about. There's a reason why people say things like sleep on it. All right. It's give yourself time to process what you've just heard so that you can make a good decision about something. We've got some birthdays other than mine. We had Katie in Texas on the 31st, and we've got Jeannie's coming up on the 8th, just so that you all know about that. I had um, hmm, I had lots of um, cards come to me over the course of the last week, and some of them are definitely worth a mention. I thought I'd let you know that on my actual birthday on Tuesday, my neighbor very, very kindly organized a dinner um, where 2 other neighbors came to dinner. And so it was really a wonderful time. And very, she always cooks the most beautiful meal and thoroughly enjoyed it, and lots of laughs to be had. And then afterwards, other neighbors came to join us for cake. But, it was a cake and wine gathering. And it got to be so big that we actually ended up not just on the deck, but we ended up in the carport and spreading out down the driveway a bit because so many people came to celebrate with me. And I thought that was really nice of them. And as you will hear, a lot of people had an awful lot of good excuses why they could not be there, and yet they came. And to me, that is the ultimate in love. All right, so the first thing that you need to know is they had some awesome cakes, and I don't think I had pictures, but they had two cakes. Now, as some of you know, I am a diabetic that manages her diabetes without medication. In other words, I have controlled my diet to a way that I can keep my diabetes under control. So I I obviously am somebody that's loved sugar all my life, and that's why I've got the problem. But the interesting thing is my neighbor makes this really great pineapple angel cake. So it's angel food cake with covered in Cool Whip, which quite honestly is all stuff that a diabetic person can actually eat. So, but then the other neighbor bought another cake, and that was Sarah's Black Forest cake with lots of cream and icing and stuff. And yeah, well, I had a slice of that too. I mean, it was my birthday. Why would I not have a slice? And I thought that it was really kind of my various neighbors to come and visit because, for example, one of them had just had a pacemaker put in just, days before. I mean, I think probably 10 days before, if that. And, she had every reason to not be there. But she came with her husband, and I was so touched that she did that. And, it must have been, in a way, hopefully nice for her as well to actually be around people and realize that she was okay. And, I know that we've got viewers that had a pacemaker put in, and so they relate to that fear when you first have a pacemaker put in. And I must admit, she looked white as a sheet, and I look forward to seeing her get some color back. And if any of you have had that done, feel free to let me know what, if anything, would be good support for somebody who has just had that done. How about this? It says, not because of who they are or what they do in return, but because of who you are. Do things for people, right? Do things for people, not because of who they are or what you want in return, but because of who you are and what you love to give. Think about that. Be who you really are at your core. I'd like to suggest that most of us at our core are really nice people. Unfortunately, there's an expression that I came up with years ago. I was in my 20s, I think, when I came up with this. And I remember saying to somebody, there's only one thing that causes me stress. People. People not doing things my way. And I don't know if any of you relate to that, but, it's just like, it's so important for us to remember to be who we are at our core rather than who we are because people got in our way. And I wonder if any of you can relate to that one. Another couple of neighbors that came down were the ones that helped me weed my front lawn and my front area here. If you remember that I needed to get that done, and a couple of them came down. One with a walker came down and helped me, and then there was the wicked weeder, as I call her. And the reason that I call her the wicked weeder is because she has a wicked way of weeding. I'm not joking. My place started with desperate need of some TLC, and literally about an hour later, I was amazed at what she had achieved. And it was just the way that she does things. She just uses a weeding tool, and she just lifts and plucks and lifts and plucks and lifts and plucks, and that's it, done. And really great job. In the meantime, I have learned to make my own weed killer, and so I am able to at least control now what is left, which is really important. And then I had a neighbor from across the street who she came to visit me at lunchtime before the get together happened, and she brought me a lava cake. Now, again, remembering that I'm pre-diabetic, I'm not meant to have things like lava cake. And what was the lava? Caramel. So I loved it. And I actually said to her, is it okay if I have it for lunch? Because it was lunchtime. And she said, it's your birthday. You can have it whenever you like. So I said, thank you. And so I sat down and ate it all. Now, I haven't dared take my blood glucose test this week. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I decided I'd give my body a couple of days to process all that sugar, but it was really fun. I missed some other friends of mine, and they are actually my neighbor's daughter and son-in-law, Shauna and Keith. They are just such nice people, and there was that part of me that went. I was almost sorry that they come down for Shauna's birthday because I knew I probably wouldn't see them for mine. But the really good news is that I was thinking about them, and then Betty Ann made sure to tell me that they sent their best wishes. So that was awesome. But I really would have to say it's funny because they're sort of like extended family to me now, and that was good. My other neighbor just down the way here bought me this awesome rose. You'll see it this evening. And a miniature rose. And they know that I love roses. So that was so nice. And of course, there was lots of wine. And I decided, now this is something that you all need to think about. I had a bottle of wine here that was a vintage red. And I'm not a drinker. I'm very much only a social drinker. But I decided, as it was my 75th birthday, I was going to open up this vintage bottle of red wine. And I managed to consume half that bottle all by myself. Now you're wondering, what am I going to do with the other half? Well, that will disappear. Maybe I'll have a glass this evening. But that will disappear into cooking and things. Or, I might even just freeze some of it if I can't finish it in time. So then, when I thought about it, there was another neighbor that came to visit, and she does really beautiful cards. And I'm going to show you some of the cards in a second. And I always think that somebody who makes their own cards. The other neighbor that I was talking about, she also made the card as well. There's something about that, that they take the time. And Morgan Freeman asked, how do we change the world? One random act of kindness at a time. And so if you are a bit late in your act of kindness for the week, think about what you can do. And remember, do it for you, not for somebody else. And when I say do it for you, know when you do an act of kindness, you're going to feel better. So I really want to tell you that my birthday was a great memory because of all these things. But I wanted to show you a couple of the cards. You'd have to be older to really appreciate this one. And if you are older and listening to this, I'm certain this will crack you up because you will totally understand. It says, happy birthday. You've gotten much better at multitasking with age. You can laugh, cough, sneeze, and pee all at the same time. And I don't know about you guys, but I just love that. Such a pretty card too. Really nicely done. I was talking about the neighbor that made me a card. Look at the beautiful cards she makes. Isn't that pretty? And yeah, this beautiful embossing at the back there. So really lovely. And the I thought this is a really pretty card as well. Okay, it wasn't handmade, but it actually looks like it's handmade. If you guess, actually, I'm reading the back here. It actually is handmade. But I thought that was really pretty. This one had a quote on it, and it was from Jody. And hi, Jeannie. Good to see you. Jody is not here. She's partying with Lionel today. She'll be with us this evening. Uh, and this was the card that I got from Jody, and it starts with, there are only two ways to live your life. One is though nothing is a miracle, and the other is though everything is. And again, when you think about it, if you can go through life thinking that everything that you see and touch and do is a miracle, it's a great way to live. And that the card that hang on a second. I think I read some of them last week because I'm missing a couple here, but never mind. The card that I just really cracked up came from my neighbor here, Betty Ann. And she said, for your birthday, I thought I'd get you something special from one of those trendy gourmet coffee shops. You know, I love my coffee. And inside, there was a stir stick. And it said, I know it's not much, but have you seen the prices in those places? And it says, I hope your birthday is a latte fun. I just absolutely cracked up with that. And, you know, I look at it and go, I am so very, very blessed to have the people in my life that I do. And there was another, neighbor that came down who, is struggling with, in fact, two of my neighbors are struggling with cancer, but they came down. And that was, really, I don't know. To me, it's just like, I love it when people choose to live. And that's a very important thing, right? How about this quote? It says, you will never regret being kind. And Jeannie, I'm not sure when you got here, but I did make sure everybody knows you've got a birthday coming up on the 8th. And I hope that you've had a good week. So if anybody's got anything that they particularly want to talk about, please let me know. I certainly want to say that it has been a very, very kind week. I'd have to say that was the one thing I kept thinking about all week, how kind people were. No act of kindness is too small, and a gift of kindness may start as a small ripple that over time can turn into a tidal wave affecting the lives of many. So think about that. You do something small for somebody, and that encourages them in turn to do something kind for somebody else. How many of you watched the movie Pay It Forward? And, to me, it was an incredible day of the gift was of their company for so many people. I got an awesome present. Hang on. If I get up, I'm going to ruin everything here. Anyway, I will show you. Maybe I'll show you on Sunday. But I got an awesome present from one of my neighbors, which was a glass butterfly that lights up. Really, really pretty. And then Yvonne and Wade gave me a really kind gift of an Amazon gift card, which I can use, and I've already used it. It completely confused me. The reason it confused me was because I bought some stuff on Amazon, and then not only did Yvonne give me the gift card, but she actually put it onto my Amazon account for me because she's smart like that. And then when I went to go and get my order this week, because I'm trying to sort of get things every week, and I went to get something this week, and when I went to pay for it, I'm going, that's weird. I know I spent this much. How come it's only showing $20? And then, of course, it took me a while, and then I went, duh, I had a credit on there. So that is why. But, it was, for the longest time, I was sitting going, why isn't that showing the right amount? And then, you must have made a mistake. And so you go back and check it 3 times, and you go, no, I didn't make a mistake. I had a credit. It's such fun. So when we think about our acts of kindness, how many of you agree that the act of actually turning up is a major one for people? That be there for people. Far better than any amount of money, just be there. Show them that you care that much. I really was very touched. Love and kindness are never wasted. They always make a difference. They bless the one who receives them, and they bless you, the giver. So just do something good for yourself in doing something good for somebody else is what I like to think of. And so now I had a difficult thing happen, and that was, I didn't know it at the time, but apparently when Facebook / Meta did their big upgrade, it turned off people's ability to post on my personal Facebook page. And I didn't know that until somebody that I know advised me of that, which means that an awful lot of people would have tried to wish me a happy 75th and weren't able to because the page wouldn't let them. And, it was sad in a way, but I don't know if any of you relate to this, but I smiled and said, no, I don't need to worry. My real friends, you know what I mean? That group of people that you can count on one hand, or maybe 2 if you're lucky. That group of people will find a way to get hold of me and wish me a happy birthday. And it was amazing how many did. In other words, they weren't able to post on Facebook, but they made the effort to wish me a happy birthday. They didn't give up. They kept trying other ways. Some phoned, some sent me an email. In other words, they didn't just rely on Facebook. And again, it's good to know who those people are. And I really recommend that. There's something that Doug did one year, and it really touched my soul to hear him tell this story to me. He said he decided to disconnect from contacting people. 1 month, he said, I'm not going to contact anybody this month. And I'm going to see who notices, who contacts me. I want to know who my friends are, not my pretend friends. I want to know who my friends are. And I know when he started to tell me, that guilt. I don't know about you, but my first thought was, I hope I contacted him. And I said, honey, did I contact you? She said, yeah, you were the first. But, he said it was really interesting. He knew in that month, who his true friends were. There were people that cared that they hadn't heard from him and said so. And so I was also interested to see who I didn't hear from. People I would have said would have gone to, all lengths to wish me a happy birthday and didn't. And that, there were a couple of people that I went, oh, okay, good to know. And you will be pleased to know, for those of you who follow my life, that both my brother and my sister did get hold of me and wish me happy 75th. So that was very kind of them. I didn't expect it, quite honestly, but it did happen. Khalil, I'll never say his name right. Gilbrain said, the smallest act of kindness is worth more than the greatest intention. How How many times have you thought, I really should phone so-and-so today? And then they ended up calling you. And then you say, you know, something, you were on my list to call today. And you're going, yeah, right. But you know, it's don't think about it, do it. You know, I try every day to contact one person over and above what I call my regular people. I try and add one more person every day to my list. How about this one? How about the smallest act of kindness can make the biggest impact? And, you know, I kept thinking about those people who came to my birthday party who were not well for whatever reason. And I remember thinking to myself, I hope they ended up feeling better for being there. And is it not true that you will never regret being kind? Right? It's not something we regret, is it? So remember that these acts of kindness are so important in our lives. We are shaped by our thoughts. We become what we think. When the mind is pure, joy follows, like a shadow that never leaves. And just, you know, the Buddha said that. So think about that, right? Make sure that you make yourself feel better every day by doing good things. Jeannie's saying, I like to give compliments to people when they usually hear complaints. Yes, I'm big into that as well, Jeannie, as I think you know, right? I make a point of rewarding good behavior. And that can be from uh, something as simple as, you know, it happened to me when I went in to get my mammogram done. You know, I made sure that somebody's boss knew how good these people were. And why? Because not only would they end up feeling good, because I was pretty certain they'd hear about it, but secondly, the boss would feel good. And then I noticed that the boss actually copied her boss. So, you know, a lot of people would have had a good feeling that day. So, yes, I agree with you totally. The other thing is, you know, if you can't find the time to do something kind, just smile at people. Now they probably wonder what you're up to, but you know, I find it amazing. I'm, you know, as you know, I'm a smiler. That's what I do. And you know, I quite often I'm thinking about things as I'm walking down the street or something, so I'll be smiling. I'm amazed how many people you can see them go, and then suddenly they'll smile back at me, and I think, isn't that amazing? I wasn't even didn't even have eye contact, but the fact that I was smiling made them smile. And so I thought that was really a wonderful um, reaction to have. So when you look at it, we are so incredibly blessed to have people in our lives. It is said that kindness is the highest form of intelligence. And I wonder if you agree with that. All right. You know, you need to be aware of how important that is to be kind. Now, if you're kind to people because you want something back from them, then that's, you know, that's a whole different story. Um, and that's called conditional. And, you know, we know a lot of conditional people in our lives, right? Carry out a random act of kindness with no expectation of reward, safe in the knowledge that one day somebody might do the same for you. Hi there, Kimmy. Good to see you. Jodie's not here today. She's partying with Lionel at the moment. They've gone out, and but she should be with us this evening. So good to see you. Um, and I hope you've had a good week. I also went to dinner with my friend Marnie this week on Wednesday. And you know that I always enjoy those dinners. We end up in some very serious conversations. And it's so funny because we we both came loaded with presents. Marnie, oh, I think I'll share them on Sunday. Anyway, Marnie brought me a present, actually two. And then I had a big bag, and what I had in there were her birthday and Christmas presents for the time, the 2 years of the pandemic. Because somehow or other, there was the lockdown year, and that was fine. So I had birthday and Christmas presents. But then last year, when we got together, I had meant to take those presents to her, and I clean forgot. So there was another year that went by. And so I said to her, here are your presents. I have no idea what's in there. That's interesting. Jeannie's saying, following your example, I have been cleaning out the guest bedroom a little bit each day. The room is looking better and better. Yes, this little bit at a time does a wonderful job, doesn't it? I want to tell you, Jeannie, just so you can relate to that as well, that I noticed over the 48 hours of my birthday and then going out to dinner, my house looked like a bomb had hit it, right? There was paper, wrapping paper, tissue paper, presents, all sorts of things all over the place. And, as much fun as it all was, it was just like my house looks like a bomb city. I had, I brought home cake. I had, so I needed to return plates and things like that. And it was really an amazing experience yesterday. Thursday is always my get ready for DearMamaSal day. So I do, the preps for the broadcast. But, it was interesting because what I did was every hour I got up and just tidied another thing. Kimmy's saying I was going to paint my entry door, and then the doorknob stopped turning. So I'm trying to figure out how to install a new doorknob. It actually is easier than you think, Kimmy. Did you get a doorknob only, or did you get a doorknob and the locking mechanism? The doorknob actually is remarkably easy. And I can tell you if you want to know. But I'm so proud of you that you are, going to do that yourself. So if you want me to tell you how to do it, I've done quite a few. Kimmy, you'll be surprised to hear that my one male friend had a new house built, and then had the housewarming party and phoned me and said, Sal, we need you to come 2 hours early. We know you'll be on time, but can you be 2 hours early on the time you're meant to arrive? And I said, sure, no problem. So I arrived 2 hours early, not knowing why. And they handed me, Kimmy, two big grocery bags full of all the door handles and locks for all the doors of the house. and a screwdriver, and said, have at it. And before all the guests arrived, I went right the way through the whole house and installed door handles and locks. Okay. So the quite honestly, Kimmy, the doorknob thing, we're talking the lock is separate, right? And you know that. So the door handle thing, let me tell you, you normally undo it on the inside, right? Don't look for any screws on the outside for obvious reasons. The screws will be on the inside of the door. You just take those out. And when you do that, it will release the one knob. Before you do that, get the door open and put something on the floor so it can't close on you again. But you just take that out, and then you put your hand around to the outside and just pull the door handle at the doorknob out this way. Right. So first of all, you undo the screws, take off the doorknob and the plate. And then this then means that this side will be loose, in which case you can just pull it out. And then you just do the replacement in reverse. Did that make sense to you? Ah, you've already got it out. Great. So you just need to put one back in. And that just really is just getting it, there's normally a square cog that you need to get it into then. But it really is pretty easy. The idea of you having a night without a doorknob, mind you could still lock it, right? So, so I was about to tell you a bit more about this going to have dinner with Marnie. I don't know if ever you have done that. Where I was going to dinner was about half an hour away from where I live. And I was about half of the way there when I happened to glance at my gas tank and realized I was out of gas, or very nearly out of gas. Now, where I was going was an area that I didn't know very well. And so that's always a bit worrying. And I'm going, I wonder where the gas stations are. It's not an area that I can remember seeing gas stations on. But there must be some. They're just hidden, And I guess the question that I have of you, for those of you who are either in the room or listening on the replay, which is, if you knew you were running on just about fumes, would you fill up your gas tank before you go to dinner or after you go to dinner? Now, the reason I ask that is because it will tell you a lot about my relationship with Marnie. I decided I would go and have dinner with her and then let her follow me to the gas station in case I ran out of gas. Does that make sense? I thought, what do I need to do to feel safe? Even though it would be dark and even though we'd be in an area that we didn't know very well. And when I got to the restaurant before Marnie, I actually was talking to some people who were local and I said, where would the nearest gas station be? And they told me. But there was a bigger problem. For some reason, my cell phone provider, they actually had an outage in that area that I was visiting. So not only did I not have gas, I didn't have a phone ability either. And so that was just like, I had it in the restaurant, but because there was an outage with my provider, when I was in the car, I didn't have that. Anyway, so yes, it's interesting. Kimmy's saying she would have gone for gas before. Does it make sense to you, Kimmy? I didn't want to risk that for fear that I might run out of gas and be in an area that I didn't know and I had no phone to be able to call for help. So I decided I'd get to the restaurant, get hold of Marnie with a phone that worked, and then we would go together to get the gas after the meal. I wonder if that makes logical sense to anybody. I thought it out quite carefully before I did it, I must say. And it's not about doing the right things necessarily. It's about what would be least stress for me. How beautiful a day can be when kindness touches it. And, it's so funny because when you talk about kindness, I wonder, did anybody do anything kind for you this week? And how did it feel? It says that you practice acts of kindness and senseless acts of beauty. That's cute, isn't it? So, I look at this week and go, I think it was a great lesson. I felt loved. I gave love. It was just a very peaceful week in a lot of ways. And one thing I noticed, when Marnie and I drove in tandem, one after the other, to go to the nearest gas station, I felt an incredible peace because, Marnie and I have been through I've known her a lot of years, and we did a lot of stuff together in those years. We volunteered in the same organization for a long time, and we did a lot of road trips together. And so I knew that Marnie, knows how I drive, and I knew that Marnie also, is good in an emergency or something happened. I had somebody who could put flashes on behind me and do all those sort of right things. And so to me, it was a great memory in that moment of the days we had spent together. And it was just an amazing feeling. And even when we got to the gas station, it was quite remote. And there was a big gas tanker filling up, the barrel, the big tank underneath. And, Marnie sort of drove around so that she could still talk to me while I was filling up, which was great. And, for some reason, I just couldn't get my card to work in the pump. And then I realized that they weren't resetting it when they should have done. But, what I said to Marnie was, it's amazing how vulnerable I felt. And I don't think that I've really verbalized that. As you get older, you actually start to feel more vulnerable. And it is quite surprising. And I would have been scared there on my own. So I was glad that so grateful for her to be with me, I must say. Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. And I was thinking back, and I always love to tell you these stories, but I was trying to think back of how incredibly wonderful my memories with Marnie go. I feel a great love towards her because I met her when she was 18, and I remember as though it were yesterday. I walked into a room, a canteen area. I was doing a keynote speech for this organization, and everybody was having lunch. So I walked into where this, all the canteen area where everybody was eating, and there was this woman standing in the lineup, and she just had such a presence. So I walked over to her and I said, I need to know who you are. And she looked at me really strangely and said, why? And I said, because you have a real presence, and I just wondered whether you know that. And she said, no. And I said, well, you do need to know that. I said, I want to tell you, when I walked into this room, that you just stood up. And so I need to know who you are, and I need to know a little bit about you. And I talked to her for a while, and I actually had some food with her. And then, of course, when I went to do the speech, I talked about the impact that you can have on people without even opening your mouth. And it was so funny because I think back on it and I go, she was 30 years my junior. But, we've stayed friends ever since. I guess I was the mentor for a while, but, we just friends now. And in fact, at one point, the waiter thought that I was her mom. But, it was just like, I'm so grateful to have these young people in my life. And I see them as friends rather than, any other relationship, because they really improve my life in so many different ways. So I look at it and go, isn't it sad that we don't have these acts of kindness on a daily basis? And I started to think, what could we do? All right. What could we do this week to bring more love into our world? And I say that because, I look at the world, and the world is so full of hate and judgment and people overreacting to things and all that sort of stuff. And I'm going, let's breathe. Let's smile and breathe and go slowly and do something nice. And so when you look at your life, sometimes we're inclined to say, yeah, but I want somebody, I'm always doing nice things for other people. I want somebody to do something nice for me. Well, that's not how it works. I can remember going to a chiropractor one day, and I was talking about how I was having a problem with somebody that I knew. And he said, well, in an ideal world, what would that person do that would make you happy? And I can't remember what I said, but he said, well, why don't you do that for somebody else? It'll have the same effect. And I said, what? And he said, yes. He said, whatever it is you want in your life, give it to somebody else. Give it to somebody else. And that to me was really stunning. It was one of those aha moments where I felt so aware that that is true, really true. Whatever it is that you're lacking, give to somebody else. If you're short of money, give some money to somebody. I know that sounds strange, but it's amazing how that builds up a karma and, that things happen. 3 things in human life are important. The first is to be kind. The second is to be kind. And the third is to be kind. And to be kind also requires that we forgive. Because there's so many people that have done things to upset us. And so when you look at it, maybe we need to forgive somebody. That's interesting. Jeannie's saying her husband takes the whole week for her birthday. Yeah, I agree with you. I decided I was going to have a birthday week, um, and just enjoy little bit by little bit. So I am glad that you know I don't think it should be restricted to a day, and that's why I don't need one big party. That's where to me it's all about. I just love it when um, I can have a little bit every day. Oh, how beautiful. Jeannie is saying that her husband bought her a jade necklace. That's so beautiful. That's like green. Um, I didn't know that you like jade. That's, I think, to me, jade is such a lucky um, stone, right? Well, I'm delighted for you. And I really hope you have a wonderful birthday. Do you have any other plans, Jeannie? So when we look at what we give to others, it is never a one-way trade. Somebody once said that kindness is your soul's basic nature. Acknowledge it and be kind. Whenever I get really stressed or upset, I try to remember that. When I get really stressed, and you hear me quote Dr. Jerry John Polsky, who said that there are only 2 emotions in life, love and fear. And everything else that we do in our lives is a derivative of either love or fear. And so whenever I'm feeling angry or whatever, there's a fear at the base of it. And so one of the things I've learned when I'm feeling angry is, what did you fear that you ended up being angry? And then I remind myself, who needs your love. And quite often it's the very person that's made me angry. So I'm not a perfect person. I can't do it all the time, I must admit. And Jeannie's saying that they are going to go out to dinner, but she's not quite sure where yet. And she said that her husband's daughter are arriving on the 10th. Okay. They're coming up for a memorial service. Yes, it's interesting, Jeannie. A lot of people I notice now are beginning to have the memorial services that they had to miss out on during the COVID thing. So it's good to know that we can do that. I'm actually quite surprised how many have come up in my life, right? So when you look at your life, I want you to think about, what if I celebrate kindness every day? What if I pretend it's somebody's 75th birthday every day and treat them accordingly? Because there's one thing that was for sure, I really noticed that, nobody hung on to stuff. Even the conversations were fun and interesting, and there was a lot of laughter. And I don't know if any of you relate to this, but somebody wrote to me afterwards and said, thank you so much for the get together, because, and I didn't have it, but they said, because it was so nice to see people laugh again. And I really thought that was true. So very true. All right, everybody. So it's a shorter broadcast today because I just wanted to really have it about reminding you how lucky we are to have each other in our lives, and reminding you that a simple act of kindness can do wonders. I look at my neighbor and her husband who, literally did so much to make it such a fun day for me and make it memorable. And, that was to me the greatest gift, that they put their time and effort into making sure that I had a memory. And I want you to remember, it is these small things that have a big impact. So I will see you tonight. For those of you who missed it at the beginning, tonight I'm going to be deep diving my kitchen deep freeze. I have no idea what's in there, and I thought we could have some fun doing it together. So to all of you, please remember, be kind. And if you've been not so kind to somebody, think about, even if you can't be kind to that person, be kind to somebody else to balance it out. You will feel so much better. So this is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of my life. And we will see you this evening. Bye-bye for now.